When did summer camp stop feeling like camp? That's what I've been asking myself since I left. For the longest time, I wondered how a place that I called home could feel as if I'd never left, but also be completely new. That's what I've seen happen to the place that shaped me and millions of children across New York City. Mill Basin Day Camp is more than just a camp. It's a second home. With activities such as baking, gaga ball, and even a laser maze, Mill Basin has been awarded the title of Best Camp in Brooklyn for 20 years straight for its focus on respect, community, and fun. Something about Mill Basin, about unplugging from the emerging Y2K technology, and being around people my age made me want to stay. But once COVID hit, things started to change.
This sprawling campground with a pool, fields, and other indoor and outdoor activities will host only 250 campers. Heavily reduced capacity is just one of several safety measures camp owner Jack Grossbard is putting in place.
Groups can be together, but not with other groups. We've gotten individualized equipment for everybody.
Bus services stopped, and off-campus trips were scrapped. Some counselors only stuck around for half the summer. And the kids? Most of them were too busy looking down at their phones to look up at each other. Maybe places don't change as much as people do. Or maybe we all carry our own version of a place inside of us. The version we needed when we were young. Technology has played a huge role in changing what the idea of camp means to me and countless others with whom I grew up with. It has turned a space once filled with face-to-face connection into something distant and harder to hold on to. I hope that this will open your eyes to the niche subculture that we call summer camp. A place where childhood thrived offline, friendships were built in real time, and being present dictated how your summer was going to go. I don't remember much from my time in the Pioneers division, but I do remember that room. Toys were scattered across the floor, and the tiny furniture made everything feel our size. Right above the door was a big sign that said, "Welcome to Mill Basin Day Camp," with Mickey Mouse waving us in like if it was our own version of Disney World. Sure, these days the schedule might have allowed more screens to sneak their way in, but to me, it's a little time capsule. A reminder of what camp used to feel like before phones and boredom took over.
The friendships I made at camp there were something special. At camp, we were only with each other for those 2 months, and we were pretty much with each other every day. It was a bit different than friendships that you made outside of camp, because when you meet someone at school, you can't really talk to them too much, and so you talk to them when you can.
So for me, I was kind of a very quiet kid. At least it was easy for me in camp because I had a couple friends that I knew from school.
I personally think the groups were made with people that already knew each other. And that could be hard for kids that come into camp as newbies that don't know anyone and aren't friends with anyone outside of it, because no one wants to be in these experiences with no one to play with.
There was this one person that I met, and she was kind of the first friend I kind of made, and after that I was able to make more friends. It made me feel more like an extrovert. I explored a lot of more personality and found out more about myself.
I've worked at camp since I was about 15 years old, so I have so many moments that stand out to me. The last week of camp is always what stands out most. Seeing the excitement of all the kids participating in color war games and dressing in their team colors with pride. After all my years working at camp, it never gets old to see the joy of a child experiencing all the fun activities for the first time.
Adventurers and Stars is where I started to really enjoy what Mill Basin had to offer. When the last day of school hit every year, I eagerly prepared my blue camp book bag and lunchbox for the following Monday. A lot of kids I see now prefer more online interactions. I'm not blaming them, that's just how things are now. But when I think about how my current camp friends and I became close, it wasn't through screens. Now, a lot of friendships seem to start and stay online. That doesn't make them less real, but I do think something gets lost when you skip all those little in-between moments, the boring, silly, everyday stuff that actually brings people together. I could talk for hours about my time in Explorers and Teen Quest, from the now removed overnight trips to Club Getaway in Hershey Park, to the nonstop energy of Color War and Midnight Madness. Those summers felt like the ones you see being depicted in those coming-of-age films. Camp did have a no devices rule, which made sense, but we all started quietly pulling out our phones during lunch or scrolling on the bus ride home. Since I wasn't allowed to bring my phone, I rediscovered my passion for art. I draw unrealistic portraits of my counselors and friends and would even bring my own set of supplies during arts and crafts. Those summers taught me that boredom breeds creativity, and that who I am today, an artist, an athlete, someone who finds joy in analog moments, was shaped in those tech-free pockets of camp life.
When I was a camper there was big rules about not having phones or playing on our DSs at the time. And then as we grew up, that's when phones started to come out and they started to place a little bit of stricter rules. But when I was working there as a counselor, phones were really big, and see the kids in the older divisions more focused on playing on their games instead of playing with each other and playing card games like we used to when we were kids.
As I've gotten older, mostly we were just like kind of out going to the city for trips. But I think as like a kid, I was always at camp. The only negative thing is like I have a younger sibling. I wouldn't be able to kind of see my younger brother at times. I would talk to him about it and he'd be like, oh, I really loved my friends and I enjoyed camp, even though he would get jealous that I was always going on trips and stuff like that, which he was able to do it when he got older.
I don't necessarily feel a divide between the teens group and the younger divisions, but I definitely see a difference. We try to keep certain events and activities exclusive to the teens division to allow them to feel a sense of change, growth, and independence. Many teens feel like they're too old for camp, but our job is to show them that they're absolutely wrong and that camp can be fun for all ages. I realized I had a very important job and learned that although I was the division director, there were also times where I would have to follow their lead. With teenagers, it's always important to take their interests and identities into consideration.
Before I knew it, it was time to finally apply to the place I've spent the last decade of my life at. And I was also stunned to hear at orientation that there were no buses or trips. How was I going to get through 8 weeks of doing the same redundant yet fun activities? The first thing I noticed with these campers is that they didn't want to do anything. When we had outdoor activities such as volleyball, sports center, and even gaga ball, an activity I loved, they complained about the hot weather and sat in the shade for the whole 45-minute period. My bosses took notice of these complaints, so we tried our best to participate ourselves, but the heat got too much and we gave in to the kids' requests. I felt I had a bit more freedom to be myself as head counselor, but even with this new title, it was hard not to reminisce about the long-gone elements that made Mill Basin fun for me. My job wasn't just to choreograph talent show dances, but to compete with 1,000 tiny screens for their attention. Their short-lived Kahoot activity didn't help. I was given an unspoken contract, one that promised an escape and real-world connection had been rewritten. We became a microscopic part of a larger, ongoing cultural issue between preserving one's childhood and the need for said children to be technologically consumed.
It was the time where I got to become a counselor. I really made sure that no matter what obstacle, no matter what accommodation, everyone got to play and participate. When you are a counselor, you are with these kids all day, all week, and really the entire summer. You're gonna get to know them and they're gonna get to know you. And being their counselor, you are their leader, you are their mentor. You make or break their entire summer break.
So I've worked as the director of the teens division for several years, and I have noticed that this specific age group relies on their phones. They're in the habit of scrolling and can often miss out on some really fun activities if they're not fully engaged. I think it's important to genuinely take an interest in getting to know them and then using that information to guide group activities.
The difference between a camper and being a counselor was totally different. When I was a camper, when we had no phones, we were just doing card games at the table, going on trips, to now being stuck on the campgrounds and using more technology that kind of like persuaded it to get, in my opinion, a little bit worse, but I feel like it could get better if the camp is more strict with like technology.
When I worked at Mill Basin, I actually heard from coworkers that back then there used to be like field trips and day activities to do outside of the camp, but like from my experience working there, it wasn't really like that, as we would let them do activities, but it was in the perimeter of the Mill Basin Day Camp.
As a kid, we were almost like babysitted all the time. like we were just always watched over. But like when we went out to trips, we were able to go like anywhere we wanted. I mean, we still had to be close to our counselors. We could be like 10 blocks away.
What I learned from camp, and this might sound vague, but responsibility comes a long way because you are taking care of the kids, making sure they're having an ecstatic and fun time. And I think this correlates to being a pilot, which I want to do. That's my career that I want to chase in the future. Responsibility comes a big way for sure because you are taking care of passengers, just like how you're taking care of the kids in the camp. You want to make sure they're safe from point A to point B.
I've always leaned more towards psychology and guidance because to me, I care more about making sure that the kids are okay and their mental experiences, and I've always been a safe space for them. It's not always easy to talk to people, and you don't know what situations these kids come home to.
After reflecting on mine and others' experiences at Mill Basin Day Camp, I've concluded that some changes are just bound to happen. I've shared my frustrations about how things aren't the same as they used to be, but that's only because I care so much about what made this place feel like home for so many of us. Technology isn't going anywhere, it's only going to become a bigger part of their lives, but camp should be one of the rare places where kids can actually take a break from all of that. I know how important these summers are, not just for our kids, but for the parents. They're paying for more than just childcare. They're hoping their kids learn to make friends, talk to people face to face, and grow up a little along the way. And in today's world, that kind of experience is worth more than anything.
Johnny, my baby, tell me all the details for tomorrow. Johnny, my baby's hands, they grip my fingers when they're cold. He could be the one to make me never freeze again, because no one is as romantic as him, I want you to know. Everyone told me life was hard, but it's a piece of cake. Even if Johnny hasn't melted in a couple days, you won't check your phone so you can't tell me you're okay, because